On our wedding day, I overheard my fiancée laughing with her friends. Imagine if my ex just barged in and took me away, like in the movies. They all giggled. I just stood there in silence. An hour later, she learned how this movie really ends. Ashton, 31, a commercial real estate analyst, had been with Cadence, 31, a luxury yacht broker, for 4 years. We lived in San Diego, California. It was a city of perpetual sunshine and relentless financial pressure. Our combined income was high, but Cadence's focus on image made saving impossible. I made about $170,000 and Cadence made about $110,000 in commissions. We rented an expensive apartment overlooking the Pacific Beach waterfront. Our lifestyle was entirely focused on leisure and high-status appearances. We ate at popular, exclusive places like Addison and constantly attended yachting events. Our friends were a mix of my steady, numbers-driven colleagues and her volatile, image-obsessed yachting clients. They constantly reinforced Cadence's belief that life was a performance. I felt like the workhorse, providing the stable income that financed her glamorous facade. I wanted to start my own international property fund. Cadence wanted me to stay in a predictable, high-salary job to fund her current spending. My career was solid but intellectually stagnant. I was excellent at analyzing local market trends, but I wanted to move into large-scale, international development and funding. I wanted to leverage global capital markets. I was quietly interviewing for executive roles that offered immense responsibility and global scope. Cadence openly dismissed my ambition. She called international finance too much paperwork and mocked my detailed analyses as nerdy homework. She valued my income, but not my financial genius. The opportunity that presented itself was a career zenith. It was with a massive, international development bank focused on emerging market property development. The role was Director of Global Capital Markets. The location was Singapore. This was a massive global step, placing me at the heart of Asian finance. The compensation package was exceptional. The base salary was $410,000 annually, entirely tax-advantaged due to the location and firm structure. They included an immediate, substantial signing bonus of $75,000. The benefits included fully paid, luxury executive housing, a driver, and a guaranteed annual performance bonus of 40%. This was the kind of offer that secured generational wealth. I decided to present the offer to Cadence over a quiet dinner at our apartment. I thought the director title and the massive financial figures would finally silence her criticism. Cadence, this is it. I got the offer. It's the director role. This is the top of my field, I said, handing her the offer packet. She looked at the elegant logo of the international bank. She seemed mildly curious. Another analyst job, Ashton. Or is this actually executive? She asked, already skeptical. It's Director of Global Capital Markets, with one of the largest development banks in the world. The location is Singapore. She scanned the salary figure. Her eyes widened momentarily at the tax-advantaged sum. $410,000, tax-advantaged. I admit that's an incredible amount of money. But Singapore, are you serious? It's not a major yachting center. My entire client network is here. I have a whole business and life built in San Diego. You could focus on luxury real estate investment. The market is enormous there. We would be financially free in a decade. This is about building a future, not just funding a yachting season. Building a future that's utterly boring. My social life, my friends, my entire image is here. You expect me to throw away my successful career and my fabulous life for a title in a tiny country. You're so self-centered. You only care about the complexity of your spreadsheets. Just say no, Ashton, I'm not going. But she tossed the packet back. Her contempt was palpable. She had confirmed her priorities. My financial genius and future were secondary to her current, comfortable social scene and her fragile ego. The conflict was now a clear choice between my ambition and her control. Update 1. I did not say no. I accepted the job offer immediately. I signed the contracts electronically and secured the massive signing bonus. I was done allowing Cadence's shallow priorities to dictate my professional trajectory. My plan began instantly. It was a complete, rational shadow operation. The following weeks were marked by extreme tension. I would try to bring up the Singapore move, framing it as an exciting life change we needed to plan for. I need to start researching international movers. The bank is providing a full relocation service to Singapore. I stated one evening. I am not moving. Ashton, the topic is closed. I'm not running off to a clean, boring city because you got a shiny new title. Focus on the wedding. That's our priority, she replied, completely shutting down the discussion. This is my career. It's Director of Global Capital Markets. It's self-respect. Your self-respect is in a financial district. Mine is in a cocktail lounge. You can forget it. Stop trying to convince me to trade my life for a ledger. Be reasonable. She repeated the dismissive lines often. They were designed to belittle my achievement and reinforce her control. Her friends quickly jumped in to mock me. At her bachelorette party planning meeting, her close friend Willow, a fellow yacht broker, was particularly aggressive. So, Ashton, I hear you're still talking about moving to some humid finance hub. How tragic for Cadence, Willow said, looking at me with disdain. It's Director of Global Capital Markets, Willow. It's a massive opportunity for our future. I explained calmly. Future? What future is there in a place with no social scene? Cadence is right. You're just a drone. You should listen to your heart, not your bonus structure. You're trading glamour for graphs. I'm trading stagnation for immense, generational wealth. My stability is my future. I replied, walking away. Their collective reinforcement of her views only made my path clearer. They were all financially dependent on their current, expensive social scene. My plan became meticulously secret. First, the financials were reorganized. I opened 2 new, separate accounts. One was a private wealth management account with the development bank. The second was an offshore trading account. I changed the direct deposit instructions. I routed almost all of my paycheck, including the $75,000 signing bonus, into the new, hidden accounts. I left only enough in our joint checking account to cover her share of the rent and our minimal joint expenses. Cadence was terrible at managing details. She would not notice the decreased flow. I meticulously gathered all documents for our joint assets. I spent my evenings on research. I did not use our shared computer. I used my work-issued laptop. I found an excellent expat relocation specialist. I made several trips to Singapore, claiming I had to attend high-level client meetings in New York. I was actually securing our new life. I focused on the Marina Bay area. It was modern, secure, and close to the financial district. I secured a beautiful, luxury condominium. It was fully furnished and paid for by the company allowance. The lease was entirely in my name. The logistical planning was intricate. I started separating our belongings slowly. I boxed up my extensive financial library. I packed all my technical devices and my personal records. I used a large, lockable storage unit outside the city. I told Cadence I was selling old office furniture for cash. She did not ask for details. She was too busy planning the wedding day. I secured my residency and work visas for Singapore. The process was handled entirely by the bank's legal team. I had to keep all the paperwork hidden. I managed it all by scheduling calls and interviews during my workday. My focus was absolute. I was operating in full isolation. The time finally came for the execution phase. It was our wedding day. I was waiting in the small, separate lounge near the ceremony room. My plane ticket for Singapore was in my pocket. The divorce papers were finalized and waiting for my lawyer to file. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 o'clock. I walked toward the back of the venue for a moment of quiet. I heard voices. Cadence and her bridal party were in a small room nearby. The door was slightly ajar. I stopped just out of sight. "Oh my God, I'm so nervous!" "I almost wish something dramatic would happen," Cadence said, her voice high and giddy. "Like what? A lightning strike?" a friend asked. Cadence giggled. It was a loud, mocking sound. "No, imagine if my ex-Dax just barged in and took me away, like in the movies. Wouldn't that be a classic?" she said. Her friends all burst into loud, theatrical giggles. Willow added, "That would be so much better than the spreadsheet's life you're about to sign up for." I stood there in complete silence. She was on the verge of marrying me, but fantasizing about a dramatic rescue by her ex. While her friends mocked my entire life and career, the betrayal was absolute. It was a clear confirmation that I was her convenience, not her choice. I did not move. I did not speak. I simply checked the time. An hour later, she learned how this movie really ends with the hero walking away, silently. Update 2. The wedding ceremony was scheduled for 4 o'clock. At 4:10, my best man was quietly informing the wedding planner that the groom had an emergency and the ceremony was off. I was in a taxi, halfway to the airport, already on a secure phone line with my lawyer. The official papers were being filed immediately. Cadence called me 50 times, but I kept my phone on silent. I boarded my flight to Singapore. I was already working on my new life before she realized the wedding was truly cancelled. When she finally contacted my lawyer, the truth was laid out. It was a simple, factual letter confirming the dissolution of the engagement due to her public contempt and expressed lack of commitment. It provided the final details of my departure and my new role as Director of Global Capital Markets in Singapore. The letter requested the immediate return of the engagement ring. Her immediate reaction was a furious explosion of anger. She sent me aggressive, long emails and texts via an old address.
"You're a manipulative monster.
Ashton, you ruined my wedding! You'll never work in this industry again!
You used my friend's joke against me," she wrote.
That was just a silly joke, Ashton! You took it too far!
You are ruining our life for spite, another said. My lawyer sent a brief reply, confirming the finality of my decision and stating that all communication must cease. Then came the desperate bargaining. She shifted to long, rambling emails. She promised to quit her job. She offered to move to Singapore immediately. She swore she would love the finance hub. I forwarded the emails to my lawyer. This was followed by a period of dramatic depression. I heard through mutual friends that she was posting cryptic, heartbroken messages on social media. She spun a victim narrative, claiming I was emotionally abusive and abandoned her for a crazy, cult-like job in a restrictive country. She sought pity. Finally, the spike of pure anger returned. She threatened lawsuits. She claimed half of my future salary. She claimed all the wedding gifts. My lawyer, using clear, documented facts of my separate finances and my post-separation asset acquisition, dismissed her claims as legally baseless. The move to a foreign jurisdiction with an entirely new firm made her threats even weaker. My moving day was completely drama-free. I was already working in Singapore. Cadence was reportedly staying with her best friend Willow. I felt an immense sense of relief and quiet triumph. I had secured my life. My new life in Singapore was everything San Diego was not. It was high energy, ambitious, and focused entirely on high-level strategy. My job was challenging and fast-paced. I was managing complex capital flows across the entire APEF region. I was respected by my peers. I felt validated for my financial acumen. I began thriving immediately. I joined an elite golf club. I started networking with other global finance professionals. I explored the city's stunning architecture and the emerging property markets. My work success was immense. Within 10 months, my fund beat all performance benchmarks. I received the massive 40% annual performance bonus. It was for $164,000, entirely tax-advantaged. I used the funds, combined with my massive savings, to make an all-cash purchase of a luxury penthouse in the Orchard Road district. It was an undeniable, tangible victory. The lies Cadence had been spreading back home began to crumble. She was telling everyone that I was a low-level analyst making barely enough to cover my own rent. "Ashton, is it true you're struggling in Singapore? Cadence told us you took a huge pay cut and were miserable." A worried college friend messaged. "She told my co-workers you were basically living in a shared room and hated the work." Another wrote. I ignored her friends entirely. I was polite but brief with her family, who had started hearing the truth. "Ashton, my brother told me you're a director. Cadence said you were just an office boy." Her cousin said, clearly shocked. I decided to stop the lies permanently. I made a high-impact post on LinkedIn. It was a professional photo of me speaking at a major international economic summit. My title, Director of Global Capital Markets, was clearly visible. I mentioned my fund's market, beating performance and the incredible team I led. The news of my prestige, my massive salary, and the importance of the bank were undeniable. The reaction was explosive. My professional network was incredibly impressed. Cadence's circle was stunned into silence. The flood of emails and texts was immediate and intense. Director of Global Capital Markets. "Ashton, I am so sorry. Cadence told us you were doing data entry. I regret the things I said." Willow, the bridesmaid, wrote, her tone completely changed. "We all believed her story about the mental breakdown. We apologize for our earlier mockery. Congratulations on your success." A mutual friend added. Her family also reached out. They validated my decision and expressed quiet anger at Cadence's dishonesty. 6 months after the LinkedIn post, she showed up in person. I was leaving the bank's headquarters. A driver stepped out of a luxury car. Cadence was inside. She looked strained and desperate. "Ashton, I flew all this way. I saw the apartment. It's magnificent. I had no idea the job was this big, she said, rushing toward me. You didn't know because you chose to believe I was a failure. That was more convenient for your narrative. Did you bring Dax with you? I replied, my voice steady and cold. I've changed, Ashton. I realize how much I hurt you. The joke was stupid. I'm ready to move in. I'll start working globally. I'll support your career completely. You've changed. Did you change when you mocked my profession as too much paperwork? Did you change when you fantasized about your ex rescuing you on our wedding day? Your only change is the sudden realization of my financial status. You want back in on the wealth and the prestige. You don't want back in on the relationship. She tried to insist she was genuine. I love you, Ashton. I missed you so much. You miss this, I said, looking at the city skyline. You don't miss me. Your circumstances have become difficult. Mine have become incredible. That is the only difference. The answer is no. You are not moving in. The divorce is final. I rejected her firmly. She escalated legally immediately. Her lawyer sent aggressive letters claiming entitlement to my Singapore property. My lawyer, using clear, documented facts of my separate acquisition of assets post-separation and the lack of a legal marriage, shut down every single claim. She lost everything. Her final move was a social media firestorm. She posted long, rambling stories about my supposed cruelty. The campaign backfired spectacularly. Mutual friends called her out for her entitlement and her history of lies. Even allies turned against her. 1 year later, I was thriving fully. My salary was now over $600,000 with bonuses. I had purchased 2 small investment properties in emerging Asian markets. My career was accelerating into the stratosphere. I was in a stable, respectful relationship with May, a corporate finance executive. Our relationship was based on mutual ambition and clear financial goals. I received one final, short message from Cadence. It was a direct message on an old chat app. You won, Ashton. I truly regret the person I was. I am so sorry I ruined everything. My reply was brief and final. It was all the closure she needed. I accept your apology, Cadence. I am doing very well. Final update. I was back in the United States for a brief, required management seminar at the bank's San Francisco headquarters. My profile was significantly higher now. I received an unexpected call from Mr. Pierce, Cadence's father. He asked if I could meet him and his wife, Mrs. Pierce, for a quiet dinner. I agreed. They were kind, respectable people. We met at a quiet, corporate dining room. They looked visibly distressed. They immediately addressed the issue. Ashton, we wanted to see you. We needed to apologize for Cadence. But mostly for ourselves. Mr. Pierce said, his voice strained. Sir, you don't need to apologize. I've moved past it. I'm happy. We do. We raised her to prioritize validation and glamour over commitment and integrity. We taught her that the perception of a wealthy life was more important than a true partnership. Mrs. Pierce added, her eyes welling up. We should have supported you, Ashton. We raised her to be entitled and dismissive of genuine, hard-earned success. We are deeply ashamed of her actions and the humiliation she caused. Mr. Pierce nodded. She lost everything because she chose a childish fantasy and contempt over a world-class partnership. You showed her the ultimate consequence of her vanity. We are sorry we were not better parents and better mentors to you. Their apology was the final, profound vindication. It confirmed that my rational, ambition-driven path was the morally and logically correct one. I accepted their apology gracefully. I told them I harbored no ill will towards them. I wished Cadence peace and hoped she would find her path. I left the meeting feeling a deep, solid sense of completion. My life now is built on the core lesson of this entire experience. Contempt is a terminal condition for any relationship, especially on the wedding day. Cadence's mockery, her constant financial demands, and her wedding day fantasy were all rooted in her desire to control me and keep me small. I learned that the only successful response to betrayal and contempt is to quietly build an unassailable reality. I did not engage in her drama. I did not plead my case. I simply executed my plan for success. My escape was not an act of revenge, but an act of self-respect. The revenge was simply the visible difference between her stagnant life and my exponential growth. She lost everything she valued. The wealth, the prestige, the security, because she thought disrespect was funny. I am not a reactive man. I am a strategic man. I created a new life that is incredibly successful. immensely rewarding, and grounded in mutual respect with me. We are building a massive financial future together. My career is soaring. I am happy. I am peaceful. I am fulfilled. I built this life. I earned this life.